Good evening. Welcome to Valley Varieties with April Davidson. My guest today is Paul Cruikshank. He's joining us from Ragin Records. He's the owner over there. Hi, Paul. How's it going?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. And so I want to know, how did you get into this kind of business?
Well, I think it's kind of natural. About 14 years old, I started collecting. I got into punk rock.
Okay.
That was now 40 years ago. So it makes me 70.
Don't age yourself.
It makes me 77. And so I got into that in San Diego, and I moved here when I was 18. And there wasn't a good record store here. So a couple of years later, I started promoting punk rock concerts, that kind of thing. And I thought, man, I got to do a store too. So I think it was about 21. I started a store with my record collection and $1,200 that I borrowed from my girlfriend at the time, and I paid her back. And
Okay.
And so I did that for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I somehow I decided, I got to do something else with my life. Maybe have a couple of kids, get a corporate job, and I somehow thought somebody would hire me. And they did. I got some. So after 10 years of Ragin Records as a kid, I went and got a corporate job, bought a big house, northwest Fresno, did all that for 22 years. And so I really just quit that about 8 months ago. Okay. And now I'm back to do Ragin Records again.
That's great.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy.
So I never stopped collecting records. I never stopped being involved in punk rock, even though I had this corporate other life.
Right.
I lived on both sides of the fence, sort of.
Ooh, like a double life.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It kind of is. And so after kind of semi-retiring, I just decided to come back to do the record store again.
That's great. And so what, when you go in there, do you just feel like such an accomplishment?
It just feels like... it feels like something I should be doing. I mean,
that's where your heart lies.
It's like walking into another room at my house,
Right.
full of records, and it just feels like an extension of who I am.
That's good.
It's natural. It's not like an accomplishment as much as it's just who I am. I don't know how to explain it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so when you got started doing this, did you have like any challenges?
Back then or now?
Both.
Not really. I never really looked at things that way. I've done a lot of things in Fresno, and I've heard people say, well, he failed at this or that, and I never even looked at any of them as anything as failures either. It's just I quit and moved on and did something else or whatever. No, it wasn't really. No, you just kind of get a building, put a lot of stuff inside it, and get a cash register and go. It's not
great.
Hard.
That's a great attitude.
It's not really hard at all.
That's a great attitude to have.
Yeah. I mean, even in corporate world, I didn't have an education, and I moved up pretty far.
That's great.
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I just made up, a problem came, across my desk. I just thought of a solution and went,
Right.
That's what you do in life.
That's what you do. You just keep moving. Keep swimming.
And I'm not trying to sound positive or anything. I mean, it's literally what you do.
I think it sounds very positive, and I think it's a great attitude to have. I wish there was more people out there that had that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
I think this world would be a better place.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to fail, that's for sure.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great attitude and a great way to live.
Yeah.
And so what are your goals right now?
That's a funny thing as I think about that, is at 54... my goals...
you can't be 54.
Yeah, well, I know. I look 64, but...
No way.
It's
no
funny.
Way.
I think about that a lot. And my two favorite things in life really have been working.
Okay.
And not in this order. Working and being a dad. So probably being a dad first. And even with that corporate life where they expect a lot of hours from you, I really didn't do as many as probably wanted, because being a dad really came first. And I didn't miss any plays, any games, any coaching. I miss nothing. And my daughter's 17, so in a year she'll be leaving for college, and that just cracks me up. I mean, that's going to be tough.
That's going to be really
That's
tough.
going to be. I can't even. That's a tough thing, and for me anyway. And then working. So my two favorite things are, being a dad and working. So then if they figure out goals, it's hard for me now to figure out what those goals are. Maybe that's what a midlife crisis is. I don't know.
Oh, no.
But
just don't go buy a Corvette or something.
Yeah, no, that won't. I don't think I end up buying art or something. That, things that you can't take out and show everybody.
You've got some great art.
Yeah, I should just buy a car instead. But so I don't. I'm trying to figure out what those goals are.
Okay.
But I love being a dad. It's like, and she'll be going to college, and then, I don't know.
There's
I
nothing
really don't
wrong
know.
with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'd like to go to the beach more.
That would be fun.
I'd like to buy a van and fix it up really killer, and go to the beach, then go to the mountains, and then come back and do some work. And
like what kind of van?
I know, just one of those, some sort of any van that you could retrofit and live in for a week.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
right.
A nice one.
Yes.
I'd like to do that.
That would be fun.
Because, I've been pretty high strung all these years.
Right.
Working hard.
Just kind of go and relax and just kind of hang out in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can relax, though. I don't know if I can relax for a week or two.
Right.
I don't know. I might go stir crazy and have to work.
Yeah.
Maybe
if you just go sit in the beach and, go in the water a little bit, collect some sand dollars or...
Surfing again.
Yeah, if that's something that you used to enjoy.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
But I do like working at the store. That doesn't feel like work.
And so if I was to walk into your store and I was to say, okay, I really like music, but I'm not sure if I really want to buy some records or if I'm just looking, how would you convince me to buy these records?
That's a funny thing.
Because I'm sure you have people just come look.
Well, we have a lot of people who don't even have turntables that buy records.
Just to collect them.
Yeah, and I think in their minds they're going to get a turntable at some point.
Okay.
So, records are for very tactile people that want to open them, look at them, have a whole other experience.
Right.
You hear that a record sounds better than an MP3 file or a CD
heard that.
or, I don't know if they do or they don't, I only listen to records, really, just because that's what I've always done.
Okay.
And the stuff that I like is really just on vinyl, pretty much. I guess they're in streaming services, but I don't even know how to work a streaming service, really.
Okay.
But, so for me, it's, it's hard. I see people wanting to come back, and they're just not sure how to start. So I'll point them in the direction of, or a decent turntable for the price, that value price turntable and speakers. And sometimes they'll come back a month later and start buying records, But it takes some effort.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
It's different than just turning on music and laying on the couch for 3 hours. You got to get up. You got to flip the LP over, or especially 45s, are big. That's rough for me. I can't get up for a punk single, you got to get up every 2 minutes to flip it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Records probably sound warmer.
Okay.
You do have all that experience of the liner notes, and I'll never leave vinyl, so I don't know where I'm going to put those in my van.
Okay.
But, there's something about records. And packaging.
It just sounds like you're so passionate about that.
I love them, and I love really well-packaged and printed books.
Yes.
So those are my two things, records, books, and wall art. Three things.
Okay, so you've got three really
three
good
collections.
interests. Yeah. And so do you remember when you were a kid, do you happen to remember the first record that you ever heard? That really stuck in your mind?
My sisters are 10 and 11 years older than me.
Okay.
So I would play with their 45s, play with them.
Yeah.
They had some Beatles 45s.
Okay.
I would listen to those on the little player. Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog.
Okay.
I don't even know who did that song. And Kung Fu Fighting,
Okay.
which was just still an amazing song. And Popcorn.
Okay.
Remember that song? So I used to play with those 45s. I loved them. And then I found about 500 45s outside by the
my
trash
gosh.
can. Yeah. Found about 500 of them. And I took all those home. You know, so records became a passion pretty
There
early.
you go. Yeah, right away.
I kept them.
Yeah, I would have too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so tell me about your store.
Yeah, so the stores, records have changed, really. I mean, records the people who buy records have really changed. I think when I was a kid, when I started at 14, the record collectors the new collectors were generally little punk kids, you know,
Okay.
buying these records that were put out by bands themselves.
Yes.
Maybe they made 300 of them, and they sold 50 of them, and they gave away 250 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were sold in little tiny stores,
Yes.
like mine. Mine
Okay.
maybe is a little bigger, but that's where I got the format from. Was from the stores that I went to when I was a kid.
Okay.
But so this store's selling heavy to new records. We do a lot of new vinyl. I think people expect to see a lot of used vinyl. We do a fair amount of used, but the new collectors that come in, it's kind of funny. Is you hear about all the new collectors, but I would say the average new collector is about 70% is like a 13 to 15-year-old girl.
Really?
And they normally come in with their dads.
Oh, my gosh.
And their dads have a background in vinyl.
Okay.
It's really cute, so they know what they're after.
Aw.
So records are selling, for me anyway, because I did a record store I've done one record store in between this one and Ragin.
Okay.
I did one about 5 years ago for fun. It was too hard with the job, though.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So I would say like this store does maybe 5-6 times better
Okay.
than the last one. So it's booming right now. So,
I bet.
So these kids come in. So we have to have a really good big pop section and rap section.
Okay.
And those records are $40, $45. You know, they're not cheap.
Right.
And we don't make a ton on them either. So
Yeah.
on new, but a huge rap and pop section, and we do a lot of punk, hardcore, and metal. So we're going to do all that stuff that's down below the surface.
Right.
We're not going to do a whole lot of generic stuff.
Right.
Then we do a lot of used 70s rock.
Okay.
And the stuff that the kids buy from that section is funny. You know, of course, they buy Fleetwood Mac. They just love Fleetwood Mac. They love Pink Floyd. And they like some of that yacht rock, that floaty rock, you know, that. And they'll come in and they'll say, "Hey, do you have any of the Animals?" And it's like, how do you know who the Animals are?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really weird.
That's great.
So they're buying across the spectrum, but mostly buying new stuff. Thankfully, of their age, you know, and they're buying stuff that their kids, people almost their age are making. You know, stuff that their parents have never heard, stuff that kind of freaks their parents out a little bit.
I bet. Yeah.
Which is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That's so awesome. And so some of the stuff that they're coming in with our dads.
Yeah.
And so that's such a special experience for them. And so I bet you just make them feel at home in there and
yeah.
help them out.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny, the parents do what they should do is talk about what they're buying.
Yeah.
Because the parents have an idea sometimes that this rap is a little rough.
Right.
You know,
right.
if it's too rough, maybe listen to it with the kids and kind of explain that it's kind of not real life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
And my parents kind of freaked out with the punk rock that I got into.
I bet.
Yeah. So it's great, man. It's totally different. There's a lot of records being sold now.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And so if I was to walk in there and tell you that I want something that's a little bit like punkish, but a little bit like slower, would you be able to help me with something like that?
Yeah. You know, I'm sure, I don't know, would that maybe take you to the maybe pop punk stuff?
Okay.
Or, you know, something.
So what would you suggest for me?
I don't know, punk but slowish. Those two words really don't go together.
They don't. So then I would be in the wrong section completely.
Punk is fast.
So then I would have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not
So
slow,
then you would
but
have
it's
to help
poppy.
me.
You
would have to help
take
me.
you to the Ramones. It's not slow.
Okay.
It's slower than
Okay.
punk today.
So then you would lead me to the Ramones.
Yeah, maybe.
And then I'd probably be happy with what you
It's still a
selected.
1 minute song, but it's still, 2-chord rock and roll,
Okay. So
and the best band ever.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I would be happy.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. I'll
hope.
have to come check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And so, how if I wanted to come to your store, where are you located at?
We are at 1118 North Fulton.
Okay.
That's in the Tower District, though. There's a 118 South Fulton downtown, so people get that mixed up.
Okay, so
we are just south of Olive,
okay,
a half a block south of Olive, right next door to Vini Vidi Vici
okay,
and Tower Health.
very good.
And so that's almost right across the street from the Wild Blue, if anybody remembers that place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, how would they get a hold of you as far as like email or telephone or?
Ragin Records at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And we're on Facebook as Ragin Records Fresno, Instagram as Ragin Records Fresno. And if you can't reach us through any of that, you better come.
You better come to the store.
Better search for us, because you should be able to reach us that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great to know. And so, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been we opened in November, this
Okay.
latest store, and the reception has been incredible. It's been awesome, so we really appreciate it.
That's great.
Really,
so you opened
really
last
appreciate
November?
it. Yeah.
So you're junior.
Almost on a year.
Congratulations.
Jeez. Yeah, what is it? We're 12 days away from our anniversary.
So it's the 19th?
Maybe we should do something.
You should do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And it's been people have been really responsive, and we appreciate
Aw,
it.
congratulations.
Yeah. So I think we're buying good stuff, and the people who are buying records are helping.
Yeah.
So it's really their store as much as ours, because we weren't buying the right stuff,
very supportive.
and they weren't helping.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, so your information is at the bottom of the screen as well. And so that's how you can get a hold of him. And he gave you the address and told you the directions. And so if you
Have I
need
had
to get
that stiff neck the whole time? I guess I have. Look at that. Okay. Reminds me of my second grade picture.
How funny.
I was like this because I had a stiff neck that day.
And so if you need to get a hold of him, you can see it on the bottom of the screen. And so have a great evening, and we'll be right back. Bye.